then
Mm.
he then went on to give the reasons why. He said, "Well, I don't think we've really been tested because we've not had to come from behind to
Mm.
then win a game." He said that's where the real test is, you know. And I thought he has a point there. He's got a point.
Yeah.
If a team is that good as England, you don't want them coming from behind, because that was what what's that your mate's name? The former England coach, the ones you're very good for,
Oh, Southgate, Gareth Southgate.
Gareth
Yeah.
Southgate. Yeah, I knew he was your good mate. Anyway,
He was a Palace player years ago, so
I
in that way.
know, I know. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what he used to do. We used to fall behind, and it will come from behind, and then we'll win it.
Mm.
But Thomas Tuchel, his approach is quite different, isn't it? It's like go and attack. Because I watched the
Mm.
game last night, and we almost played the whole 90 minutes in their half. We played it in their half. It was like we was
Yeah.
always there doing the attacking, doing the shifting
Mm.
and passing the balls around. It was good for us to watch. It was good. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. The goals were coming in. But we weren't that much excited about when you see the players, they didn't celebrate that much. They scored a goal and they just walked around, you know. So there was
After
it
the
was
first one or two, that's right. The first one or two goals, and then it becomes kind of, well, we've scored because it's so expected. They're clearly a much better team. So, but yeah, they're not going to be over celebrating. I wouldn't think. Yeah.
no. So now there's where the problem is. We've not really had a good test. We've not really
No.
had a really good test. So I love the team. We've got a lot of good players. It doesn't matter what team he fields, he's guaranteed a win. You see, so I love that about them. But then the problem for Tuchel now is what you call a good problem to have.
Mm.
And you know where I'm going with this, don't you? So he's got all these good players, and he's got the ones that seem to have a permanent shirt in the England squad. And then there are ones that are trying to prove themselves, like Anthony Gordon. It was sensational last night. So what do you think is the solution to this good problem? How do you think, if you was a manager, how would you approach this good problem?
Yeah, and I think a good problem is an interesting sort of way of looking at it, and I'm sure it's something I've said in the past as well. For any manager of any team really, but say in the Premier League, if a club has got a good squad and they've got, as they say, strength in depth, what a great problem to have. The only thing I would say to maybe counter that view is that when you've got some very, very good players who are not starting the game because they're part of this excellent squad, then I wonder if that ceases to be such a good problem. Yeah, every manager wants great players to be able to choose from, but most of those great players will have egos, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but they think, well, I've been bought by this club, I've been transferred here, or it's my original club. I'm good enough, I'm playing internationally as well. So why am I not starting the game? And I know they all get the idea of, rotation and giving everybody a chance. And if you're in Europe, you need more players, and it's all justifiable comments. But in the England situation, rotation and giving everybody a chance. And if you're in Europe, you need more players, and it's all justifiable comments. But in the England situation, it does seem some, as you say, there are some who just are put on the team sheet before anybody else. And I mean, I suspect, who might we say that applies to? And I think it applies to the goalkeeper, to Pickford, which obviously is a bit unfortunate for Henderson because he's, I think, an equally brilliant goalkeeper. But then Pickford has got a good record both with England and Everton. He just doesn't really let many goals in. He's a great goalkeeper, so you can understand why he's got to that stage. And so he's the first one, and then you can look through the team. At one time, we might have said, "Well, Jude Bellingham's another one," but we know now that he may not be because I don't know, Tuchel's comments in the past and the fact that he didn't choose him this time may infer that he's not going to choose Bellingham necessarily. I'm sure he will be in the squad, but he may not feature in the first team. Because I come back to something I always say on these international tournaments, whether it's the Euros or the World Cup or any other like the Nations Cup, and that is, I'm a great believer for a period before the finals start, say 3 months, 4 months, start playing the team that you're going to basically select for this competition when it starts. Now, of course, between then and the finals, you're going to start that team, but you're going to swap around. You're going to bring on subs at different time because you must have a squad whereby they're up to speed, that they also, again, they know the system, they know the tactics, they know what their club mates, their teammates are going to do. You've got to get that telepathy almost to get a team that gelling together. So it's important to bring those substitutes in along the way, but not to the point where all the lead-up games, whether they're, we've got 2 more qualifying games, or they're effectively friendlies because we could lose them and still qualify, of course. But, in those games, the basic team has got to get to know each other, and there will be a few friendlies before and other international weekends, I expect, before the end of the season, before the World Cup. And that, I think the winning teams in World Cups basically have the same team. We said this before, but watching, say, Match of the Day or any football, you will notice, I think you have said it before, that with Palace, and I'm sure with other teams in the Premier League, they're starting with basically the same team every week, every game. And that's, to me, it's such an obvious thing you have to do, injuries accepted, as well as using subs at key points. Just if only to rest players if they've had a